I'll start this scope real quick, you guys, and it is something that I was thinking about the other day when I was reading this Dale Carnegie book on how to win friends and influence people. If you haven't ever read that book or picked it up on audio or something, definitely pick it up. It's a great fundamentals of business and being a leader. And it actually reminded me of something that my father-in-law, I should say my late father-in-law, Scott, used to always do. And he didn't really talk about this as something that he did, but it was something that I remember hearing him do. It's something I remember him telling us that he used to do, and it was walking the floor. And so just to give you, he used to be the plant manager or operations manager of a large supply chain plant. And he would actually go and walk the floor and during the various shifts, and he would get to know people's names. He would get to know these people who were making minimum wage, and where he's making, 15 times what they're making, but he got to know who they were, and he started to develop relationships with these people, and he earned a level of respect. And that's, I think, where the biggest thing is I think that can go a long way with any position you're in. I was thinking about this, whether you're a doctor and a provider, right? Whether you're a doctor, a provider of some sort, and you have to manage staff or nurses, or you're in a senior management position, or even just if you're not in those positions and you're in a lower position, say in a company or what have you, getting to know all your coworkers' names, even just on a first name basis, and I think that can go a long way when you use somebody's name throughout the day, like, hello, John, how are you today? Hello, Peter, how are you today? Hello, Marcy, how are you today? And getting to know these people's names and getting to know them and ask them about how their day is going and showing a genuine interest in other people, you start to make people feel important. And I think that's what my father-in-law did so well, and why he was the operations manager and why he was so well respected by all the shifts of people there. He was probably one of the most well-respected people there. Even though he was the operations manager, I think it wasn't so much that, because there's a lot of people who are in authority and who are in leadership roles, and they don't get respect, or they just aren't respected behind their backs. And I think it was because he made people feel important. He got to know people's names and asked them about how their lives were doing. And if you're a history buff, and I guess Dale Carnegie talks about this too, famous people used to do this. I forget his name, but he was a very famous guy who could remember people's names. That was his uncanny ability. He could remember over 50,000 people's names, first name basis, and he was the advisor to President Roosevelt. And so you can imagine going to a party or something, and this guy whispering, that's so and so to Roosevelt, and Roosevelt going, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And actually, it rubbed off on him. He started remembering people's names even better too, and it really helped make people feel important. So that was that guy. And then another guy everybody knows is Napoleon Bonaparte, right? Napoleon Bonaparte, when he met somebody, and somebody he really wanted to remember their name, he would, when their back was turned, he would write their name down. And, again, not making it obvious, but then when he was back in his study by himself, he would sit there and he would read over that name and read over that name and read over that name and visualize the person in his mind. And he would commit that name to memory. And then what he would do is he would tear it up. He would tear up that piece of paper and it was gone. But he had that name stuck firmly in his head of who that person was that he wanted to remember. And so, I carry a little notebook around with me every single day. It's in my car every single day with me. And I'm starting to get in the habit of doing that when I'm out networking with people or meeting new people, writing their name down and trying to commit their name to memory. And I think with Facebook and the advent of like LinkedIn and Facebook and these things, we can start to, I think with the advent of Facebook, Twitter, these things, we can see these people's names and have a ongoing, almost like a Rolodex that dates some people here, I suppose, that use the Rolodex, but have this sort of virtual Rolodex of people that it can go both ways. It can be a problem, but it can be a good thing too. It can be a problem in that it kind of makes us lazy. It's like, well, why do I need to remember that person's name? I could just go look them up on Facebook. It's because when we're in the moment with that person, when we go and run into them out, bump into them out for coffee, bumped into them out at the restaurant. In fact, I just bumped into an attorney last night that I was out at the farmer's market here in Green Bay. Bumped into an attorney last night in plain clothes, not he was wearing a t-shirt, definitely not the suit and tie dress that we all typically see each other in, but I remembered his name. I was like, hey Matt, good to see you, and was able to again make him feel important and establish more rapport between us. So whether you're in a leadership type position or whether you're in a lower level management or whatever, I think getting to know people's names and committing those names to memory and really taking an interest in how people are doing, you can propel yourself in business. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is something that is probably one of the easiest things to start to do, but I think one of the hardest things to master. We can all, how many of us, me included, have met somebody, shook their hand, and they said their name, and literally 30 seconds later cannot remember their name. Happens to me all the time. Meeting new people. Oh, hey Bob, nice to meet you. And then literally 30 seconds later, what was his name again? Was it Rob? Was it? Oh man. And then you go this roundabout way, how do you spell that, Bob? How do you or like, hey, just so I get the correct spelling of your name, how do you spell that? And he goes B-O-B. You're like, oh yeah, okay, I guess it is Bob. Okay, yeah. And you ever see this where people do these little ways of trying to weasel out somebody's name? Can you give me the last spelling of your name? It's Roberts. Roberts, Roberts. So just try to unclutter your mind when you meet people for the first time, especially, and really focus on that name. And I think one of the other areas, but I think one way again, to continue to really hammer in this name is there's the handshake trick. So the handshake trick is when you shake someone's hand, you hold on to their hand, right? So you hold on to it a little more and you say their name at least 2 more times. So if they're like, hi, my name is Bob. Hi, Bob. Nice to meet you. Wow, Bob, I really look forward to our conversation today. Thank you for, this opportunity to meet with you. So Bob, tell me, so it's try to use it again. So you saw I was shaking his hand, use it at least 2 times. Oh, hello, Bob. Nice to meet you. Yeah, Bob, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself? This is great. I appreciate the opportunity to meet you. Something to that effect where you can get their name in at least 2 more times. And then if it helps you to write it down, awesome afterwards. But one thing too is the committing it to memory, seeing their face and seeing it do something. It's this, I forget what they call it as far as how to be able to remember somebody's name, but it's visualizing them doing something. So if his name is Bob, you might want to visualize his head, detached from his body or something and bobbing in the ocean or whatever, and then his name plastered across his forehead. Or if his name is Tariq, right? Tariq, maybe you can see his, body in a car flying down the highway 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he's tweaking, right? And he's just, and you're seeing Tariq across his forehead or, across his mouth or whatever, or he's yelling Tariq or something like that, right? So you visualize this crazy vision of them doing something crazy, whether it be morbid or just funny or whatever, and it helps again to create those little memory tricks that solidify their name into your memory database. So I hope this helps. Again, the whole idea with memorizing people's names is not so that you can just be the cool cat and know everybody's name, but it's again so that you can use their name to make people feel important. I think that's where this all kind of comes back to, is you took the time to remember my name when I probably even forgot your name, right? Because we all said we all do that, right? But you remembered my name, which makes me feel important that someone actually remembered who I was and asked genuinely about how I was doing and how my day was going. So with that, I wanted to leave that with you guys. A quick tip for the day. Remember people's names. Check out that Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.